Denise was 17 when she caught Nathan's eye in their high school calculus class, and they instantly fell in love. They got married a year later and started a family soon after. But in a snap, everything changed, leaving Nathan to raise their 6-month and 2-year-old sons, Adam and Noah, without their mom. The man responsible for Denise's abduction and murder was this man, Michael King.
Guilty of murder in the first.
After a lengthy trial, King received the death penalty, and now after nearly 2 decades, an execution date has finally been set, March 17th.
Welcome to Unsolved Crimes. While you are here, please hit the subscribe button and comment your view on the story and where you're watching from. You know, there are some people who seem like they were just born to love and be loved. Sarah Bright was one of those people. She grew up in a small town called Maplewood in the heart of Georgia. Her father, Officer James Bright, was a sergeant with the county sheriff's department. So from the time Sarah was just a little girl, she understood what it meant to serve others. She grew up around police cars, two-way radios, and dinner table conversations about keeping the community safe. That world shaped her. It made her believe that when you called for help, help would come. As a teenager, she met a young man named Daniel. They fell for each other quickly, the kind of love that feels simple and sure. Daniel once bought her a small heart-shaped ring. It only cost him $40, but Sarah never took it off. Not once. That little ring meant the world to her. By the time she was 21, Sarah and Daniel had built a quiet life together in Maplewood. They had 2 children, a 2-year-old and a baby just 6 months old. Sarah stayed home to take care of them while Daniel worked. Their neighborhood was peaceful, the kind of place where kids played outside and neighbors waved from their porches. Nothing about their life suggested danger was anywhere near. But life doesn't always warn you before it breaks your heart. January 17th started as an ordinary day. Daniel left for work in the morning. Sarah stayed home with the children. The weather was unusually warm for January, and she had opened the windows to let fresh air into the house. Around 11 in the morning, she called Daniel. And if you're enjoying this story so far, don't forget to subscribe, because this is only the beginning. They talked about nothing heavy, just the warm weather, the open windows, the little things that make up a normal day. That phone call was light and easy. It was the last time they ever spoke. A few hours later, just after 2 in the afternoon, a dark green car pulled into the driveway. A neighbor noticed it. The man who stepped out was named Marcus Cole, someone Sarah had never met before. He was a local man going through a rough stretch. He had lost his job. He was losing his home. And somewhere inside him, something had gone very, very wrong. He walked up to the house. He went inside. He found Sarah there with her babies. What followed was every parent's worst nightmare. He grabbed her. He forced her into his car. He drove away. And her children, those 2 tiny babies, were left behind alone in the house. When Daniel came home from work just after 3:30 that afternoon, something felt wrong immediately. The children were inside. Sarah was gone. The windows she had opened that morning were now closed. His stomach must have dropped. He called 911 right away to report that his wife was missing. But Sarah, somehow through everything, she was fighting back. While inside Marcus Cole's car, Sarah managed to get hold of his phone. At 6:14 in the evening, she secretly dialed 911. She tried to talk without letting him hear. She confirmed who she was. She tried to signal that she had been taken. It was one of the most heartbreaking and courageous things you can imagine, a young mother, in the dark, whispering for help. But the phone was a prepaid device. It couldn't be easily traced. And Sarah didn't know where she was. Around the same time, a woman named Carol Hayes was driving along the main highway through town. She stopped at a red light, and a dark green car pulled up beside her. From inside that car, she heard screaming. She saw a hand slamming against the window from the inside. Carol knew immediately something was terribly wrong. She called 911 and tried to follow the car. But when she crossed into the next county, her call was routed to a different emergency center, one that had no idea what was happening. Here's the part of the story that is hardest to sit with. That evening, 5 separate 911 calls were made. 5. From Daniel, from Sarah herself, from witnesses on the road. People were reaching out. People were trying to help. But those calls went to two different county dispatch centers, one in Maplewood County, one in the neighboring county. And somewhere in the handoff between those two centers, critical information was lost. It was never properly shared. It was never passed on to the officers who were out on the road looking for Sarah. Investigators later found out that police patrol cars had actually been very close to Marcus Cole's vehicle at certain moments during that night. They were close enough, but no one directed them toward it. No one connected the dots in time. Before the sun came up the next morning, Marcus Cole had driven Sarah to a remote area outside of town. And there, he took her life. He was arrested that same night. But investigators still didn't know where Sarah was. 2 days later, they found her body buried in a shallow grave near a canal outside the town she had called home. Marcus Cole went to trial in 2009. The evidence was clear. There was Sarah's own 911 call, her voice, recorded, reaching out for help from inside his car. There was witness testimony. There was physical evidence from his home and vehicle. The jury took just 2 hours to find him guilty. He was convicted of murder, kidnapping, and sexual assault. He was sentenced to death. But for Sarah's family, the verdict didn't answer the question that would never leave them. What if the calls had been handled differently? What if the information had been shared? What if the officers who were already close had been directed just a little further down the road? Sarah's father, the man who had spent his life in law enforcement, fought hard to make sure her death meant something. Her family created a foundation in her name to push for better training for emergency dispatchers across the country. Because of their work, new laws were passed requiring improved communication between 911 centers. When they found Sarah, she was still wearing that little heart-shaped ring. The $40 ring that Daniel had given her when they were young and in love. She never took it off. I want you to hold on to that image for a moment. A young mother, 2 babies at home, a husband who loved her, a father who taught her to trust the system, and a system that, on the one day it mattered most, let her down. Sarah's story is a reminder, a painful, necessary reminder, that the people who answer emergency calls carry lives in their hands. Every call matters. Every second matters. Every piece of information passed from one person to the next matters. She deserved better. And because of her, maybe, just maybe, someone else will get it. Thanks for your watching. Don't forget to share, like, and subscribe to the Unsolved Crimes for meaningful crime stories that inspire and teach life lessons.